All right, let's get right into it. We're going to look at what seems like a super simple phrase, just two little words, but man, they hold the key to this massive theological idea. You see it pop up all over the New Testament, and once you really get what it means, well, it changes everything.
So get this, in the Apostle Paul's letters, this little phrase, in Christ, shows up more than 160 times. I mean, that's not an accident, right? It's not just some verbal habit he had. It's almost like a secret code, hiding in plain sight. So, what's he trying to tell us? What does it really mean to be in Christ?
Okay, so the original Greek is en Christo, and you can think of it like theological shorthand. It's this core formula that describes the absolute center of a believer's relationship with Jesus. It really is the key that unlocks the whole structure we're about to explore.
So where do we even begin to unpack this? Well, the first layer is actually, surprisingly concrete. Before we jump into all the abstract theology, we've got to think about this phrase in an almost physical way. Because the first, most foundational meaning, it's all about location.
Yeah, exactly. It's a matter of location. Before it's about what you feel or what you do, being in Christ is all about where you are. It's like you've got a new address, not on a map, obviously, but on a spiritual level. You have literally moved from one state of being to a totally different one.
And this is a great way to think about it. Just like being in a room defines your immediate reality, like what you can see, what you can touch, Paul is saying a Christian is now located in the realm of Christ. It's like you've moved into a whole new sphere of existence, and that new place redefines absolutely everything.
So there's a fancy theological term for this, incorporation. But all it really means is that you've been placed into something totally new. This is so important. It's not just that you changed your mind about a few things. No, your actual location, and because of that, your entire identity has fundamentally shifted. Who you are is now defined by where you are.
But it gets even cooler. This new location isn't just a flat, one-dimensional thing. That original Greek word, en, is super flexible. So depending on how Paul uses it, it reveals these different blueprints, different ways this connection actually works. It just keeps adding these amazing layers of depth.
So scholars have kind of broken it down into three main dimensions. First, you've got the locative sense. That's all about your position. Then there's the instrumental sense, which is about the means by which something happens. And finally, the associative sense, which is all about the relationship. Let's take a closer look.
Okay, so here's how it all fits together. Locative, that's the where we've been hammering home, right? Your position inside this new reality. But then you have instrumental. This means the phrase can also be read as by means of Christ. It tells you how God gets things done. For example, he brings forgiveness through Jesus. And then there's associative, which is like a close partnership, meaning with Christ. So check that out. It's a place, it's a tool, and it's a partner, all packed into two little words. Incredible. Okay, so we've got the blueprints. Now let's look at the actual building, the grand design. What's the so what? Why does this even matter? What does being in this new reality actually do for someone?
Right at the heart of it is this huge contrast. Paul basically lays out two paths for humanity. You're either in Adam, which represents the old way, tied to brokenness and death. Or, and this is the radical new option, you can be in Christ. And that represents life and what he calls a new creation. It's like a total reboot for the human operating system.
And here's the thing, this new location, it's not just one choice on a menu of options. According to Paul, this new reality, this in Christ sphere, is the only place you can find every spiritual blessing from God. You just can't get them anywhere else. It's an exclusive source.
So what are we talking about when we say blessings? Well, we're talking about huge things, like real peace with God, the process of becoming more like Him, which is called sanctification, and redemption, the idea of being bought back from that old, broken reality. These aren't just, dusty theological terms. They're the real deal, life-changing results of getting that new spiritual address.
And this is really important too. It's not just a solo mission. This shared reality of being in Christ is the actual foundation for the church. It's the glue that holds a community of believers together. They're all living in the same spiritual place, sharing that same new identity.
Okay, let's start to wrap this up. Why are we spending all this time on what's basically a grammar point from an ancient text? Why does it still matter so much? Simple. Because it gets to the absolute core of our identity.
So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. In Christo isn't just some boring piece of grammar for academics. Not at all. It's Paul's shorthand for an entire worldview. It represents a complete and total shift in how a person even exists.
When it comes down to it, it's the definition of a new reality, a new identity, a new source of blessings, a new foundation for community. To be in Christ means your entire existence gets a new definition and a new location.
And that really leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? If Paul is right, if our identity and our reality are defined by what we are in, then it's worth asking, what sphere are you living in? What location is defining you?